Hi, this is Mark. In this video, I'm going to explain how important jawline and height is when it comes to obtaining women. And I think in the Blackpill community, these features are heavily overemphasized. A portion of men in the Blackpill community tend to say, oh, men need to be above 6 feet or 6 feet or taller, and they need to have a nice, chiseled, strong jawline. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Uh, it's basically, if you look around, and this is especially true to where I live in Dallas, Texas, and if you think about it, when you go near big cities like, say, New York City, Dallas, Los Angeles, Miami, you're going to find more people who are above average in looks because you're in richer areas, you're in areas with higher status, more opportunities to live in a secure place and have healthy food or decent enough food or just food in general. And in poor areas, you're gonna have developmental problems. There's gonna be more crime and more drug use generally. So I would argue, yes, in attractive or near cities, you're gonna find people in general objective level of attraction tends to go up. Now, I find that the majority of men who succeed with women in this area are around 5'6" to 6 feet. So clearly, the majority are not above 6 feet, like the Black Hill or people in the Black Hill community tend to portray. I am a 6'3" male, and my height really hasn't benefited me when it comes to picking up women. It helps. I'm not arguing against that. Height doesn't help, but let's imagine now you have a guy who's, let's say, 5'5", who is average in appearance. So let's take this scenario. Now let's imagine that we increase his facial attractiveness. What's going to happen is he can maintain the same number of options as the baseline level or average if he were to decrease his height, because more women would accept his height provided his face was more attractive. Likewise, if we go in the opposite direction, let's say we decrease his facial attractiveness, he would have to be taller in order to maintain the same number of options as the baseline. Now, you can't go too far away from average or deviate too far because that will fall apart. Let's say you become very, very unattractive. Well, you're probably not going to get back to baseline, even if you were taller. And that, I think, I believe that interest in height is a function of facial attractiveness. Think about a tree or think about another object like a building. They're all tall. But what variable makes height important? What variable causes women to become infatuated, to induce that lust? I would think sexual dimorphism or masculinity, where you make them feel small and feminine. Height adds to that, it amplifies that. Thus, if you look sufficiently masculine, it's going to give women a stronger emotional reaction, and that will likely increase their interest or positive direction. Their estrogen may go up, and they're going to feel more validated, and that's going to increase your probability of success. So again, even with jawline, yes, jawline's very important. It's not, I mean, it amplifies attraction. It accentuates things. But I would argue that the eye area is the most important area when it comes to attracting women. If you look around, I see less variation with respect to this area. I mean, I could, be delusional, but this is just my viewpoint. And I see more variation with respect to other features like body. You could have fat guys, you have skinny guys with woman muscular. It's all large variation. Body is only as important as the face, in my view. Um, and you see a lot of guys with don't have sharp chiseled jawlines, especially with obesity rates. It's like 40+%, and yet they still get with women. And I find that majority of men who succeed have a good eye area in general, including includes the eyes and eyebrows. And this makes sense to me because it's the first line of communication. It shows your expression. It portrays your confidence. This whole area, how you express it, the dynamics. your jawline, of course, is important, but I think your jawline accentuates or amplifies the overall effect. And it adds to dimorphism, which thus increases the interest in height, and it's all connected in that way. But nowadays with the whole beard trend going on, facial hair trend, you can always just cover up with facial hair. You can shape it, and at least make it seem or give off the illusion of that. Or men, other men grow it because they like growing it. There's many reasons for men to grow it. I'm pretty sure a subset of the population grow it to cover up like a weaker area, which is fine because ultimately you're trying to succeed. And why not grow a beard if that improves your odds of success? Makes sense. Now, I think that, like when it comes to communicating with women, the first thing they're going to look at is the eyes. And this is where I think like the eyes, to me, can make or break the face. And I actually ran an experiment on myself. I have a pretty decent jawline. I went on, dating apps. And when I smile or basically when I don't wear sunglasses or anything to cover up my eye area, I rarely ever get a match. But when I wore sunglasses, my matches went up exponentially. And I rarely even I get like zero matches. Even if I swipe on 100% of options, I literally swipe on every single woman. And I can barely get a single match. That's how picky women are nowadays on dating apps. It's crazy. But then I think about it, I'm like, man, my eye area. I mean, over the years, like when people have called me ugly or women have called me ugly, that's all I've heard. I haven't heard ever a compliment. Not that I deserve one. I'm just saying, with a decent enough jawline, you would maybe expect that. But I've realized that it was mainly geared towards my eye area. And like I've had a girl once say I looked like I cry at night. When I was teaching, I had girls, make fun of me. They'd say I look sad or whatever. My eyes look sad. And all my life, it's been pointing at my eye area, and I can maybe perhaps, you know, um, that is what has diminished my overall attraction. And if you think about, imagine you take this scenario where you have a male A who has a very nice eye area but a poor jawline, and male B has a very nice jawline but a poor eye area. Who's going to be easier to talk to? I would think the male with the great eye area is going to be easier to talk to, easier on the eyes, or to communicate with. And that's the first thing you have to do is you communicate. It starts with eye contact. If they don't like your eyes, they're not going to. Generally, it's going to detract their focus, and it's going to depreciate the value of other features. If they do like your eyes and you have a very good jawline, you're pretty much golden. You have many options, many opportunities, and so forth. And for myself, never dating at the age of 31, I've never had a woman flirt with me. And I do have a pretty good jawline, so that hasn't really helped me. Um, I've tried, I've approached, I've made moves, many times on many occasions. It just hasn't worked out. And, I've had friends who have had many women approach them, and not that women often approach, but I'm just saying the probability or likelihood of them approaching increases as your level of attraction increases, whereas it decreases as you go down the hierarchy. Also, the probability of you being called ugly increases as you go down the hierarchy, and the probability of you receiving a compliment decreases as you go down the hierarchy. So you kind of can gauge where you stand on the hierarchy. Now, I would say I'm pretty low, a low position based on the summation of my experience. Women just are aggressive when I give eye contact. They just a lot of times they're annoyed by my presence. It's hard for me to even talk to any of them. They're disgusted by my looks a lot of the times. And this is not just one, it's many. I mean, it's every time I go out, I'm like, Jesus, I'm just trying to get through, just try to have a normal experience where there's no reaction based on what is seen, how whatever my whatever however I look like. I just I wish it would be more neutral, but it's been pretty negative over the years. but that's my reality, and that doesn't even matter really. I know where I stand, and that's why like I settle. I've settled. I've even asked out women who are 200 plus pounds, who like I didn't have such a strong attraction, but I liked their personality. I liked hanging out with them, and still got rejected. I was I recently went with this one girl. She's said she told me that many guys have called her ugly, like multiple guys, and she's cool to hang out too. We play video games, and I could care less what she looks like, even if the attraction's not strong. I'm not gonna let my instincts rule, or whatever emotions just dictate how I respond. I'm gonna approach it without bias, or I'm gonna limit that. And in general, anyone can do this. I mean, it's not like women are to blame. Men do the same thing, or men, with ugly women, or women who they find ugly may react negatively as well. It's human instincts, human nature, uh, that you have to override in some way. And if you just run by that, or you run by your reactions, how your feelings, and you rely on validation your whole life, well, you're going to be very more volatile. You're going to be more. You're just going to react to minuscule things that don't even matter. And I've learned in life that the best thing is experience. So your experience, um, how you approach situations, is the best thing to do is minimize the complexity, simplify things, and limit stress, because stress is inversely proportional to happiness. If you're more stressed, you're just depressing your system. If you're less stressed, you have the reserves to generate the satisfaction or energy. You need energy to do work. You need work for to progress and to move, and you're basically constantly collecting, and you're gaining sources of energy from the external world, whether it's food, whether it's experience, anything, and you have to get the most out of it. Now, it does like with the whole black pill community. Um, to me, everything it's set on hierarchy. So people who are more attractive have more options. Uh, but even if they have more options because of their looks, the sum total of the options, they could lose every single option if they have nothing to offer. Basically, they won't capitalize on anything if they have nothing to offer. Likewise, you could be relatively unattractive and have not many options, but you could capitalize on all of them due to what you have to offer. So that's just the reality. There's nothing you can control, nothing you can do about it. It's no point really being so depressed over it. However, a lot of us have been here, including myself, so I'm not immune to it. But you live and learn, and you realize that, to me, the experience, or the conversations that you have are more important overall than just these small, than the materialistic gain, the attention, the validation, the social media, all that, getting likes. None of that even matters really much. Um, as long as you work hard and show integrity, and you you do the right things, you can be. I think it's more lasting. It's more of a longing reward than just trying to bypass things and so forth, and lie or deceive. I honestly, I think, because if you base your whole life on everyone else and trying to show off, or get at a position in society because everyone else is going that direction, and that's really may not even be the route that is desirable. You got to go with your strengths, and then your strengths will give you the most leverage, and thus the highest probability of success. So really, it's like finding the right environment. If you like billiards, like I like billiards, or snooker, something I enjoy, it's like billiards plus chess. I could find a club where I can meet people who enjoy that, and I think that's a good starting point. Or I could go to an environment where I'm not comfortable, socializing, there's so much stimuli like a bar, and I'll probably be less likely to survive or, I mean, succeed because of the anxiety and the other problems that occur. So you got to find your niche, work, try to improve, and you can work on your looks. Or, I mean, a lot of people are doing that to improve their odds. Nothing wrong with that. Work on other areas as well. Um, and yeah, I mean, you're going to slowly should be attain more options, depending on your age. But that's the fact is we are here, and our ancestors got us here. So you know there should be opportunities, but you never know. You just got to go out there in order to get it. If you don't move much, or if you don't socialize much, well, those opportunities will dwindle away, or there could be an opportunity for anyone at a distant part of the world, but if you don't move around, it it's not noticed, it's unknown. So yeah, that's just all I had to say. I think the black pill, it's right, uh, in terms of like looks have to be sufficient to enter the door, and that personality or other attributes sustain things long term. However, it's wrong in terms of the extremes, like having an extreme viewpoint. It's not so black and white. In my view, if you improve one thing, um, or let's say you depreciate in one area, um, or an area where the majority of the population what the majority values, you could still gain leverage in one area where a minority values it. So it's not just like one direction. Nothing is just in one direction. It's more dynamic, bi-direction. It's multiple directions. Um, and yeah, so it's not really so black. It's not so black and white. You don't need to be a Chad necessarily to succeed. Sure, I mean, if you want the short-term encounters, you generally got to be more attractive. But in terms of long-term, I think as long as you're average or above, you should have, you know, of course you have chances. So that's just how I put it. Uh, yeah, that's all I have right now. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next